Hi everybody, I'm Tandy Gutierrez and this is October's new moon tarot reading with me. So for every reading that I do in this capacity, it's a general reading. So just, be open to your signs, symbols, and omens, and knowing that you're here for a reason. There are no coincidences, there are no accidents. And if you're going, Tandy, nothing that you're saying is like ringing anything for me, then I go, okay, then who does it make you think of? Because then you can pass it along and maybe it's information that you need to share with them. Remember, we're all a part of each other's lives. There is a collective consciousness. So sometimes we get stuck in the me, and sometimes we're not going, wait, what can I pass along and what can I help with, okay? So the new moon this month is October 19th. New moons are always a time of fresh starts and new beginnings, okay? It's a quiet time. It's a time of rest. In the workouts that I teach, it's always your stretch week, your mellow week, your restorative week, constructive rest. It doesn't mean you don't do anything, but it's not a time of hard pushing. So remember that in your life. It's not a time of hard pushing. It's a time of planting ideas. It's a time of evaluation. It's a time of fresh starts and new beginnings. So full moon and new moon is what I teach to for the most part. There's no light, no reflection on a new moon, so it's dark of the moon. So it's a very internal time. It's a time to think. It's a time to receive. So it's a great time for meditation, right? So you can hop from this video to my guided meditation, one right after another, if you like. But remember that time in prayer is you talking to God. Time in meditation is allowing God, the universe, to talk to you. So this is a time of receiving messages and perhaps getting some puzzle pieces that make other things make sense and allow for progress later. This is not implementation time for things. This is, sitting in it. This is the let me think about it for a couple days kind of thing, okay? So here we go. It's a 7-card reading. I'll lay them all out. I'll show them to you one at a time as we go, and we'll see what this month's new moon has for us as a collective, right? All of those who are listening and come to these readings, this is for you, right? Also, this new moon is in Libra. Libra is, the balancer, the scales of justice. But as far as the astrology, it gets a little wacky. Usually the full moon is like the time of high, intense emotions. I would just be on the lookout for this one to be a little intense, and know that it's that receiving and quiet and thinking time. So if you're feeling really intense about things, just take a step back, ask for that moment of pause. If you feel yourself headed into extreme emotions one way or the other, just take a minute, take a day to really make a decision if you have to make decisions, or wait to give a decision until next week when the dust settles a little bit, okay? First thing I look at when I do the readings are the color scheme that comes out. Sometimes things are really bright and really vibrant and lots of rainbows, lots of color. And sometimes they're more, the black and the white and very two sides of things. We've just had Jupiter move into Scorpio. There is an overall sense right now of things getting a little dark. But I encourage you to embrace the dark. It's like working with your shadow self, right? It's working with the pieces that you don't really like, that you just kind of oh, we closed the closet door on that. You can't see it. It's cool. Pull out all this, clean out your closets. So that's what this time is all about. So already in this reading, there's a message of you're going to have to look at the black and the white of things. We all very much know that there is no black and white. It's always in the gray zones, right? There's no absolute answers, and everybody's on a different path in their life. So in this new moon, it's already calling us to pull out some of the muck in the closets. Let's do some cleaning. Pull out all those deep, dark ickies you do not want to look at, and then look at them in the light and go, was that really so scary? Was that really weird? Start to share some things. This is that time of discovery and exposing, but that could be a really, really beneficial thing, because those kinds of things move us forward as people and allow for progress and evolution, right? You don't want skeletons hanging in your closet, because then you're who's gonna open that door? Who's it gonna fall out on? If you just drag out your own skeletons, you're ahead of the game, okay? So, that being said, the energy of now for this new moon for all of us is Father of Cups, okay? Father of Cups has everything to do with your emotions. So Father of Cups is a very empowering, beautiful card because it's about feeling like you're, riding the ocean waves instead of being thrown and freaked out by the ocean waves. Father of Cups says that his emotions, it's a masculine energy. It doesn't have to be male. It's one of ownership and a little bit of control. Not that you're controlling your emotions, but you don't let them control you. So, interestingly enough, this new moon is like, it may get really emotional, okay? And it can start, it's on the 19th, so depending on where you are in the world, it can start, that energy is like 2 to 3 days before and 2 to 3 days after. So we get it for about a week. That you really go, I'm not going to let it throw me. I'm going to go, here's how I'm feeling. Whew, that was pretty extreme. Okay, let me go think about that and what that really means. Father of Cups is about being, in ownership of yourself, recognizing that you're human, that there are feels and there are feelings, and that just like storms, they will pass. And they will subside, or they will, quell. They're going to rise. They're going to get big. They're going to toss. They're going to turn. And there's still going to be water there tomorrow, kind of thing. So cups are always about your emotions. It's also about love, because that's the ultimate emotion. And it's also about your faith. Faith in divine, in the divine nature, faith in God, in your higher self, in your guides and guardian angels, whatever you want to call it. Cups and emotions and love always leads to faith, because it's hope and faith, and love heals all. So there's a beautiful place of empowerment that we're starting from in this new moon, which is super cool because it has the potential to really kind of like push on us emotionally this week. A bit roller coastery. So if you're like, no, I'm good, I love roller coasters, I got my seatbelt on, I'm ready to go, that's what it's showing us. That's beautiful. Releasing the readings with me is not necessarily what to let go of. It's usually what to release into the world, like what to give, what to quit hiding. So this whole, movement of Jupiter into Scorpio is like, it's going to push things out into the open, because Jupiter's huge in expansion, and Scorpio is the secrets and the deep inside. It doesn't have to be negative. Our deep wants, our deep wishes that we haven't been sharing with anybody. So what to release into the world is the Wheel of Fortune. That's beautiful. So the Wheel of Fortune, if you all have been, gosh, has it been almost a year that we've had these videos out? If you book the one-on-ones with me, longer than that, but these videos in a public form. Wheel of Fortune is that, the hands of time. It's all about fate and free will. We always have choices. We have options. We can change the outcome of things, but we have to make choices to do that. In line with that, there is snapshots of fate and the way the things line up and energies line up, and what time it is, and why we look at astrology, because sometimes there's time for things and then it moves to a different time. So the Wheel of Fortune is about releasing, the negative. It means that sometimes it's just a cycle. Sometimes we're going through a real negative one, and then it turns. When the card comes up in the reading, it's about the good cycle coming back. It's kind of like luck coming back into play. Whereas like you may have felt like for a while, like that switch on luck and serendipity and coincidence has just been turned off, as much as you work and try and put the effort out there. So this new moon is saying, release that idea of it being turned off, because the wheels come back around. So we're back online with opportunities and luck coming your way and being drawn to you if you're doing your work, and that we're in a much more positive aspect of energy. That's all. And so you have to release that positive energy out into the world. Otherwise those opportunities don't come to you. That law of attraction and law of magnetism. There's got to be an equal and opposite force. You have to meet the universe halfway. So that release is like, okay, Wheel of Fortune's turning back around. Like Jupiter, that planet of luck and expansion, yep, it moved. So things are going to change. But you have to release that positive attitude. As much as the world will say, there's nothing to be positive about, we know that's not true. Because we're all children of God, right? There's divine nature, there's divine serendipity, and there's always hope. There are always options, and there are always choices. And what we have to do is release that energy out. Every single person, it's powerful. One at a time. It's those seeds of throwing glitter at the universe, not out of naivete, but out of knowing that what you reap, you sow. What you throw out into the world is what's going to come back to you. That's the law of attraction, right? The energy, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you are vibing at a high level, and that doesn't mean it's light washed. It doesn't mean it's always silly and it's always great and everything's always positive. It means, that's Scorpio nature, that you honor what's in those dark, places. That you pull it up and you look at it and you go, I don't like this. This is challenging, but I'm going to work with this. And I'm going to throw stardust and glitter and positive aspects at it. And I'm going to understand it and I'm going to learn my lessons out of it. And then I'm just going to leave it on the coffee table kind of thing. Leave it out in the open a little bit more. I hope that makes sense. So we're in a place of actually feeling very empowered and very stable in our emotions. We're being asked to release, positive energy into the world because the Wheel of Fortune has changed. We have moved out of this place that felt a little like, I don't know. But in order to get the positive vibes in your life attracting to you, you're going to have to send them out. It's a frequency issue, okay? What to receive. These are interesting. Sometimes they fall in places and you go, what? 8 of Cups. So 8 of Cups kind of looks like I don't want to receive all of that. 8 of Cups is about, leaving what no longer works. It's about when you break all the damn dishes and all the cups and you've got nothing to fill, then you're going to have to go get a new set of cups, right? There's nothing left for you there. So you have to be willing to receive new beginnings. You have to be willing to do things brand new and different. And sometimes brand new and different really is just like a tweak of things. Like, I don't know why I'm getting, like brushing your teeth, okay? So maybe it means that instead of buying tubes of toothpaste, you make your own toothpaste so that you're saving 4 tubes in the world that we didn't throw into a landfill someplace, right? So that's doing something completely different because you're going about it a different way. You never would have made toothpaste and refilled a jar in order to make an impact in the world. But it's not completely different because you're still brushing your teeth. Do you know what I'm saying? So the things to be completely different and to invite new things into your life, to have a fresh start and a new beginning in this new era of positivity and allowing Jupiter to do its business of creating an expansion. Sometimes it's not completely different, right? It's not like you have to stand on your head and quit brushing your teeth. It just means you do it a different way. So that's what you have to be willing to receive, doing things a different way. Now it comes with a little bit of a hold up warning, be able to receive empowered warnings. Okay, so again, Jupiter expands things. We're getting into this Jupiter stuff, but it has everything that, this moon is fresh starts and new beginnings. And so it can have this very optimistic feel to it in this next week specifically. What can happen when there's too much optimism, or what I call light washing it, is that it heads into delusion and there's no reality. So you have to be willing to receive in this week the warning signs, right? Don't just head off into the la la land sparkles and fairy dust. You're gonna have your foot anchored in the dirt a little bit and go, well, if I quit brushing my teeth, that wouldn't work. You're like, oh, I'll just quit brushing my teeth because then there's no tubes of toothpaste in the world. And and you're like, well, hold up, don't need to rot your whole mouth to save Mother Earth. There's a self-care issue and a reflection involved here. So this week you have to be willing to receive empowered warnings of perhaps sometimes we're not very good at receiving like, oh, you're not doing that so well, or I think this is where your trouble spot is. You have to be able to hear people even if they don't use a lot of tact. Don't kill the messenger. This is, okay, like somebody's going to be sharing some information with you and they mean it in a genuine nature. They may not have a lot of tact in it, but it's information that you need to do things just slightly differently to get a better outcome for good energy to attract things to you. Don't take it as somebody being a naysayer and a hater of like, that's not going to work. And you're like, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to take all these broken glasses and make them work. Like, no, they're broken, So be willing to receive empowered messages that tell you what's not working anymore. Does that make sense? Okay. In this era of like fresh starts, new beginnings, and amplification and luck coming back, you can't head off into delusion either. There still has to be a balance, right? There's always a balance of light and dark. That's what true balance is that all light is like, that's not real. So, and all dark, yeah, that's not real either. You gotta work with both of them, okay? What to learn? Beautiful. 6 of Wands, to rise up. This is just the, courage and bravery and fire, and 6 of Wands is like one of the best cards in my opinion. It's about victory. It's about learning how to be victorious in this balance of light and dark. It's about learning to be, consistent, like, get through the hard parts. Butterflies don't turn into a butterfly. They weren't born that way, right? So just about the time the caterpillar thinks it's gonna die, it turns into a butterfly. So one of my favorite quotes, and I posted it, I think last week, was that if there was no change, there would never be butterflies. So you have to embrace the good and the bad, the icky transitions, because that is where you learn the most. And then don't give up. You got to take what you learned in those really difficult stages and move forward for victory. So that's beautiful, because it's really saying like, hey, luck has changed, right? But you got to release some good stuff into the world to have it come back to you. You've got to release that positive energy, put it out there, right? Ask for help, tell people what you got, go spread your own word in a constructive way. Allow yourself to receive messages of what isn't working. If there's something that people are like, really offended by, or that's a tricky one, but it's more about structures that don't work. Like this, people giving you business advice kind of thing, or this is the tricky one, parenting advice, but hear it out of love. Like these are people who have done things for a long time with some expertise that are trying to help. So just hear things as helpers, sit on them, don't react emotionally, right? And if you can do those things, you're going to learn how to be victorious and to rise up out of your own situation, because you're brave and courageous enough to change. That's beautiful. What to give? The Chariot. 7. Okay, so major arcana. The Chariot is, there's a lot of ways to read a lot of things. The Chariot is about things coming through for you. Now, it's usually because you've set them in motion earlier. Now, in this sort of short time span, you can look at the last new moon. What were the things you planted? What were the things you began? What did you ask for? What support did you reach out for, in that new moon? Check in with, some of that's going to come through. And then there's those people who've like, things are going to come through from like a year ago, and you're going to be like, what? Where? Why? Timing, right? It's all in divine timing, not on our timing. So know that when you put things out into the world, what you've built, what you've made, what you give, what you're capable of giving, that it will eventually come back, but sometimes the timing is like not on our time. So it says what to give. That to me would be a giving it to yourself. Like, make sure you're setting things in motion today. So if you're just hopping on like the reading wagon, and you're like, I haven't been doing these things with the new moon and the full moon, and I haven't been clear about my intentions and my wishes, and I haven't been asking for help, that's cool. Every day is the day to begin, right? Every day is a perfect day to start something. So in this new moon, it's time to really plant seeds. Ask for what you need, ask for support, give as much as you possibly can in a generous way without depleting yourself, and know that that will come through. You do have to give to get, right? You have to share in order to receive. You have to make space for new things to come in. So in this week, it's about planting new seeds, putting new wheels in motion, building things for the future, and giving so that it comes back to you in its proper divine time, okay? Your heart's desire. Heart's desire is 6 of Pentacles. So heart's desire is to see things blossom and grow and come to fruition, and to really reap the reward. This is about putting coins in the coffer, what you reap, you sow. So Pentacles is about abundance. That can be with your health, that can be with your finances, it can be with joy and love and people and support systems and communities around you. So this is about, like, your heart's desire is to see these things that you've planted long term really start to grow and come to fruition, because I think there's this sense of like, I have been giving and doing and plotting and scheming and changing and self-evaluation and loving, and it's like, man, I don't feel like any of it's coming back. Your heart's desire is to see it come back, not out of ego, just out of like, it's time, like the effort has been there. And that first card out of the gate is that the Wheel of Fortune has changed. It's come up a lot lately in private readings, so this is in the air. Change, positive change is in the air. Resources in this, you know, new moon energy, the devil. And you go, what? Eek, ah! The devil's in the details, right? So your resources, whether you're aware of them or not, are in the details. And the devil card is just representative of habits, you know, because that phrase, devil's in the details, like your habits, I got excited, got a little ahead of myself. What you do habitually, right? What you practice, what you repeat creates mastery. So if you were repeating the wrong thing or real negative attitudes, you're creating mastery in that negative attitude and negative response, okay? So what we want to do is create habits that cultivate good mastery, a balance, right? Like, we're human, and venting is normal and necessary because we are human. Much as we strive to ascend and much as we strive to be better, you know, denying that there's anything dark or jealous or icky or bleh, that's not going to get you anywhere good. So it's about looking at your habits, and the devil really is usually about these day-to-day habits. So like how you fuel your body, how you self-care, which again is what I teach, is that things, when you balance things and let them support each other, results come so much faster in the physical body. So beating yourself up in a workout doesn't work because it's not in respect of your system. But if you fuel your body with beautiful foods from the earth, if you work with your body because it's physical, you rest it when it needs to, you have joy and fun and celebration with the work, then it's like, oh, then you find a healthy place physically, right? So the habits, your resources are in your habits. And so you've got more resources than you think because you can just change habits, right? It's a matter of practice. So it may be that, you know, that your practice is either to not accept help or any sort of negative feedback. And negative isn't always bad. I mean, that's like somebody's calling out the train wreck, go avoid the train wreck. And so you have the capacity to change, like, you know, 1 to 3 habits. And that's going to turn things around for the positive and start to bring things to you. If you don't address the bad habits, so, you know, then you won't change the outcome, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same result. So your resources are in the capacity to change your habits, change the way you do things. And sometimes that's a really like tiny shift. It doesn't have to be drastic to create change. It actually, that's the fallacy of change in yourself or in the world. People think it has to be so big and so grand. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's small. It's about how you engage with people day to day and what you feel called to do day to day, and really coming from a place of rooted groundedness and of love and of empathy that doesn't always accept acceptance, right? You don't have to accept everything because some of it's wrong and hurtful and deleterious, but you can always go make a shift for the positive. You can always go do something tiny, and it's in all the tiny that the big things change. So it's showing us that our resources in this week is in the tiny habits that we change. You know, not engaging so much. This keeps coming up too. Not engaging so much in social media in that negative tit for tat kind of bickery way. You know, it's like, I love the idea of flooding people's feed with goodness. That's not about light washing. That's about trying to create balance, right? So, lots here in this new moon. It's really empowered, but it's very much calling you out to look at the small habits. Don't keep going with the bad ones because then you're not going to move forward. You're not going to learn your lessons. Make sure that you're giving of yourself, of your talents. Make sure that you're giving the goods so that you can attract those back. Learn how to rise up, how to succeed, how to take help and acceptance, and how to just allow time to pass sometimes. And how to hear feedback. And I know that for a lot of us in this stratosphere are recovering perfectionists. And that, you know, in the past, hearing things that you've done wrong or incorrectly is like mortally wounding, because we're trying to do the best by everybody, but there is no perfect. And so you can't achieve perfect. We're all going to do things incorrectly. We're human, that's the point of learning. You don't learn unless you make a mistake. You know, so if we're constantly deflecting people who are trying to help and throwing out those red flags, then we're gonna stay stuck. Okay? But again, let's just circle this up and bring it back home. This moon can be, even though it's a new moon, could feel intense like a full moon. Okay? So emotionally, you're gonna need to sit on things, but it's showing that that's where we're at. Okay? So don't give immediate responses. Do not make immediate decisions this week. Take it in, listen, sit on it, then make decisions next week wherever you can. Not saying you can stop life, but if you're feeling really pushed and pressured for a decision, that's usually like the call for like, yeah, I don't need to do that right now. Because that's ego, and that's often, you know, or somebody else's ego trying to push you into a decision where you're like, I'm not ready to make that decision right now. Maybe tomorrow, you know. That was kind of a big one. That felt a little, it's very positive. I mean, our place of beginning is the Father of Cups. That's very anchored, very positive. A lot of mastery, a lot of adulting there. Wheel of Fortune. Good times are coming, right? Jupiter's there. But with the warning. You're going to have people who show up to help you, and it may be a shoot the messenger kind of thing. They may not have a lot of tact about it, so you want to shoot it down and deflect it. Don't. That will be to your detriment. That's going to create more broken glasses, and you're not going to get your new set of glasses to fill up. And the heart's desire is to see positive things grow. So your heart is anchored in the right place. Your emotions are anchored in the right place. The universe is turning around, and it's just, you've got a lot of habits and resources on your side. So that's beautiful. I would just say, proceed carefully this week, remain calm at all times, you know, and then meditate. So if you haven't done my guided meditations, they're here, they're free. It's one every month so that you can kind of go deep with the track of it. And if you're, you know, wanting to work out with me and get on the mat with me so you explore your evolution from that physical perspective, because it's not just about your physical, it does move the muck out and keeps the energy flowing and the energy from getting blocked. So it helps in our energetic manifestations to be on the mat. You can head over to mattinthekitchen.com for that. And then if you want to do a personal reading with me, one-on-ones, I do those too. I take about 4 typically appointments every month. And so tandygutierrez.com, you just hit on private bookings, I think is how it's listed, but it's all there. So thank you for being here for this reading. Bless your new moon, bless your little hearts. Like, this is going to be a big one. And if you get through it this weekend, you go, Tandy, that wasn't a big deal at all. Bravo, you're doing your work. you kept the calm in it, right? And you really rode that Father of Cups through this week. It could be a doozy. But there's a lot of goodness to be had out of it, a lot to be learned. So thank you. I love you, and I will see you next month.